Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Then celebrate it with or without champagne or rum.
Hello. Welcome to our human-centered project leadership. I think that's what it's called, right? You know, something very similar.
Yes,
Go on,
it's
Elaine,
fine.
tell us.
It's fine. That's the topic. I mean, because of your connection with leadership and behavioral science, that's the topic you wanted. So I'm just going to be, I'm going to be I'm going to be like a nice woman and just say, yes.
Okay, so now, what is it really?
Well, the topic that I really wanted to harp on, but I think when you say toxicity, people recoil. They're like, oh, don't talk about that. It's so painful. Then when it happens to them, they're like, what does she say I should do when this happens? So I think it's important that even if a topic is negative, that you stand your ground, you stand in that space. And I wanted to make this a safe place where people could post questions, or if they don't feel comfortable speaking, that they can at least post the question anonymously, and then say, maybe don't mention my name, but, and then, get in, don't miss the opportunity to discuss the topics that have held you back, that have denied you your performance reviews, your raises, bonuses, opportunities to leave work early and go to your kids' dance recital. I mean, I've lived through some of those situations where my kids had to take a back seat. And in the United States, when you are late picking up your kids from daycare, they charge you something like $5 or $10 a minute, something crazy. So you dare not show up late. And then also after a half an hour, they can send your child to Child Protective Services, which means now you have somebody from the government asking you if you're abusing your kids and why didn't you pick up your kids and stuff like that. So welcome everybody. We sort of got off, Emmy pushed me in the deep end of the pool and got me started talking, but I want to make sure that everybody knows I'm Elaine Jackson with Holistic Project Management Consulting. And we are here today to offer a safe place to talk about things that happen in the workplace and to realize there's a reason why some of these things happen, and to look at how you can get a fix or develop a strategy for some of the negative things that happen at work. Hey, Emmy, you there, or am I here by myself? I see you. So we have Mike. Promises to be very instructive in dealing with toxicity in the workplace. Now, just so you know, Mike, I want to make sure everybody understands as a disclaimer that Emmy and I agree to. Some of the things I may suggest, it's based on my style, my approach. I'm originally from New York. So my approach, my in-your-face approach, my push-you-back approach, my maybe doing some passive-aggressive behaviors, that might not work for some of you, right? I have training in fencing, martial arts, so I'm very assertive and aggressive when it comes to people stepping into my space. And so that might not work for you. But the thing is, knowing that there are strategies. So, Emmy, thank you so much for having me here again on your platform. You could not stop laughing the last time, but it's not funny. A lot of the stuff you want to laugh. Maybe what it is, we want to cry. So we laugh till we cry, or we cry till we laugh, whatever. I can't hear you. Your mic is off.
My bad. I laugh because I'm always having fun, right? I'm always here to have fun, even on serious topics. And I say, of course, I see you, Lisa. Welcome, Lisa. Lisa talk menopause, and I still laugh on my way through it. And she's like, "Stop laughing." Stop. I'm like, "Nah, it's just me, right?" No, it's best when I just keep quiet and hide away in the background when no one sees me.
Oh,
And then I'm still
we
having fun.
see you. We see you. We see you.
Serious topics. I say we still approach them with some level of, I guess, curiosity. Maybe that's why That's why I come here for. Really, I'm very serious when I need to be. But events are not one of those things where I'm very serious. Otherwise, everyone gets very serious, and then there's no fun. There has to be fun somewhere. Tracy, welcome. So who doesn't know Elaine? Everyone knows Elaine. Well, it's our second week together, so by the time we finish, everyone will know Elaine, right?
Can I comment on being serious compared to like laughing and having fun? I believe, like, my father was from Barbados. He immigrated to the United States long before he met my mom, and he always said, "Don't skin your teeth." That's probably people who are here who are West Indian, or they heard somebody from the West Indies speak. They heard them say things like that. Stop skinning your teeth. Don't smile with people. Show them you're serious. Don't let people step all over you. So if you don't smile at them, they can't take advantage. But when you're smiling and laughing, I think old school, it opened a door for somebody to think that that was a moment of weakness. And sometimes people look for moments of weakness to pounce on you. And I'm not talking about pouncing on you and tickling you. I'm talking about pounce on you and be very negative, or say things that are hurtful, or ask you, who asked you? I mean, things like that. Like, you speak up at a meeting and someone says, well, did anyone ask for your opinion? I mean, that's really toxic. That's really toxic.
Very.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be like expletives, which is like curse words. I've been in work environments where that happens, and many times it's men having a pissing contest, and they start to use those words, and you're like, ugh. So when I hear men raise their tone of voice and it gets loud and it starts to get a pushing, I feel from the pushing starts a punching, starts escalating to worse and worse. So I just feel like, let me get out of here, And so one of the things we should be talking about today, number one, is the workbook that I gave you guys last time for free. I know you guys read it from cover to cover. I'm so happy about that.
You mean all 3 pages?
You know what? It's 3 pages of intense content. Don't even go there.
I agree.
The one page talks about leadership and management behaviors. The next page, a peek into peer behaviors, or peer-to-peer behaviors. I'm sorry. And then the last one is talking about systemic and cultural issues. Burnout, talking about poor leadership styles, harassment. So I wanted to maybe talk about 2 or 3 of the things that are listed in the workbook. The workbook, I provided it for you guys, not to give you homework, okay? But I even sat down and I did the assessment myself. I don't know if you could see. You probably can't see because I have the screen thing here.
Hold on. Let me try something quickly. I just let me work on more people, and then I'll try something very quickly, which might help us, right?
Oh, you're going to open up the workbook?
Yes. I've suddenly, that's why I smiled at myself in
excellent.
Victory. That's why it was a victory thing. Me thinking, then you're quite smart when you want to be.
So I think Michael is on the front panel on the show. Did you want him on the show? He seems kind of shy. So man, I don't want to. You don't. Also, we have to be cognizant that some people may not want to be in the spotlight, that they're managers, they have these issues. Who were you talking to? I mean, I've been in work environments where that happened. Who are you talking to? What time are you coming back from lunch? I'm like, you know, if I come back at all. So I just want to make sure people who are on if it's just you and I, that's fine. If other people want to be, but we want to take them off if they don't want to be, because I don't
Yeah,
want anybody to feel uncomfortable.
of course. Now Michael's here. I assume he's here by choice. I mean, I haven't paid him today.
No, his manager mandated that he come and learn a few things.
Really? Is that what he said? I didn't know that. Right. Okay.
True.
All
That's
right.
not
So
true.
you're joking, which is a good thing.
I am.
Who else is here? Linda, I see you on my LinkedIn. I don't see you on my StreamYard. Well, I see you, Linda. Welcome. Of course, Tracy, I see you as well. So, there's more people here. So do drop us a comment, my friends. Say hello, say where you're joining us from. I guess give us some of your thoughts. Some if you've got questions to ask, then feel free. And for everyone, I've sent you all the link. I'm sure I sent Linda the link. I don't know if I send you a link, Mike. I'll probably do that now to join the studio, because Elaine wants your thoughts and your views on the questionnaire. Let me try and do this. Let me see if it works.
I guess
look at that.
Oh, that's nice. Go to the next page. The next page is
it works.
That's a different document. That's a checklist that I sent. That's another gift. I forget the stuff I give you guys. Wow.
So what's this one?
No, there was 2 documents. So if you go back to the first one, you may have to scroll down rather than go next. Go down.
Okay. So this is the one that you sent me this morning, right? This afternoon.
No, I didn't send it this morning you were sleeping. You were, I sent the document very late last night, which is your morning. So can you go back to the first document? Systemic culture. Why is that looking like that?
The first page of the first document. So this is one.
Oh, right.
There's the other document you shared last week.
Yeah.
So is that the one you want, or do you want this
that's one? That's the one I want. The one that has color. It has a blue banner on the first page. This looks different. This looks like something is stripped down.
It's fine. I know where that is. I have seen it today. So
okay.
Right,
yeah. So I want people to realize that at no time should anything we share be seen as, oh, they said I should. Oh, my manager does this, so this means. You need to sort of read around the word. Everything has a different meaning based on your culture, right? I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. So you can only imagine that somebody who's from the Midwest, or somebody who is from, maybe Africa, somebody who's from Spain or UK, the approach is different based on your background. Based on, that's the document.
This one.
Yes, please.
Okay. So
take this document and use it to do your own self-assessment. If you're a manager, do it as an assessment of how you feel that you've been treated in terms of the different behaviors, the impact on the workplace. If you are, because you're a manager doesn't mean that you've never experienced this. And that's the problem, right? As managers, sometimes managers pass on what has happened to them. So I was telling someone earlier that there's a famous statement. It's called hurt people hurt people. So when somebody's been hurt, sometimes they don't even realize that they're internalized the hurt. Isn't that right, Emmy? That they internalize it and then they turn around and do it to others.
Yeah. It need not happen, of course. I think that we can do better. We have to do better, right?
We do. Go to the next slide, please, if in this document, if that's possible. Okay, right. So anybody who's on the screen, maybe you can make that larger for yourself so you can see it. Um,
I can make it bigger only by no. That's as big as I can.
excellent. So I'm wondering if someone can put in the chat what are these some of these topics that of behaviors. Like last week we talked about, I don't know, we talked about over policing, over policing. So like micromanagement. We talked about losing trust. So the thing is, knowing there's a solution to every problem. You just have to believe that it's not something you can do immediately. It's something that takes time, and it takes practice, and sometimes it takes patience. I know, like I was on a call earlier, and a particular person on the call kept interrupting the instructor with, like, the questions just never stop. Could I get a link? Can I get that? Can I get the can I get it? Can I get it? And I'm like, wow, how rude. But and then when people would ask the instructor a question, that person then turned around and started answering for the instructor. So the old me would have been, we are talking to him. I didn't do that. What I did, I gave her her moment in the sun. She wanted her moment of glory. And then I turned to the instructor and I called him by name. And I said, could you finish what it is you were saying? I had to do that twice. And then she backed down. And I think that the thing is, sometimes you have to be persistent, but you don't have to be rude or make someone feel bad about their behavior. It could be some, especially women in certain environments, have been squashed down, never allowed to speak. You can't speak your mind. You're brilliant. You can be brilliant in the kitchen, and so when some women get an opportunity, they just sort of take it to a whole new level. But I tried to be respectful, but also make sure that the instructor realized, could you finish that thought? And he was more than glad to do it, but you could see he was just getting totally fed up. So Emmy, has anybody put anything in the chat? Um, let's look at some of the fixes. Empowering your team with autonomy, measuring the outcomes, not the steps. So I am a person that does a lot. I do a lot. I just keep busy. I do a lot. And then I never really give myself credit for what I've done because it's never good enough. So then I want to do more and more and more and more. And that can tend to drive, it can probably drive a manager kind of crazy, but it can also be interrupt team dynamics because your team is like wondering, well, no matter what I do, it's never good enough. And I think it's important that you set the goals or you set the metrics for what you want to see achieved. And then when you meet those metrics, that you have a point every week. Like as project managers, we're always measuring what it is we're supposed to be doing. How close are we to reaching those metrics? And what do we need to do to make sure we finish it on time? Now, that doesn't mean we're 100% always on time, but you have a better chance of achieving your goals if you have a process around it. So, Emmy, are there any questions coming in yet from the chat? Hey, Dr. Magnus, how are you? Thank you so much. Is this your area of specialization? We'd love to hear from people who actually coach individuals that have been through these toxic environments. I do workshops on it, but I would never consider myself someone that if someone had a psychotic moment that I could I probably could coach someone off the edge, but I don't believe I would be using orthodox procedures. Okay. So I just want you to know that, I'm old school again, and it is rough. When I get my results, I get results. But Yeah, it's a little interesting how I go about getting it. How about nepotism? Have you ever hired someone for in your company that was your family member, and then you gave them a leeway when they didn't do their work, or when it came for raises, they didn't deserve it, but you went ahead and gave it to them? There are many people that, and that's what I talk about when I talk about coaching. I talk about coaching and learning, which is so important because many times people end up end up getting displaced by someone that has less education. So people can put yes, I'm not going to say a bad word. Say yes in the chat, or they can say no. That's never happened. Has it ever happened that someone with less qualifications? And here comes Mike again. He's only had one job in 40 years of his career. So, Mike, does that mean you've worked for your mom? Teasing. No. Again, Emmy and would like for you to do a segment on that. How was strategic was that you had one job and that you worked that job for 40 years? Chances are normally that happens with lawyers, doctors, surgeons, things like that, professions like that. As a project manager, it happens, but again, when you run into the toxicity, and if you own your own company, the chances are that toxicity is somewhat reduced because you aim to do things that control it.
I put myself on mute. So Mike says, and even that one had several incidents of personalities that were toxic.
So I'm wondering if he's saying that he worked the 40 years. I thought maybe he worked the 40 years because he never encountered toxicity in the workplace.
I think he's saying something. He's saying almost the opposite. He's saying only one job in 40 years was not toxic.
Yeah, that didn't have toxicity. But his next post was that there was a toxic person. So maybe the toxic person was there, but it didn't affect him. But think about it. If you're on a job and your manager's yelling at someone all the time, or giving them the crap job to do, or never giving them a raise, they don't get bonuses, they don't get, they're always the joke of the team. It's wrong. I would tend to think that it's wrong to laugh and be part of the joke, ha 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 on him, ha ha on her, because those are the people that they get angry, and they get angrier and angrier, and then one day they come to work and they're not taking it anymore. There were times when in the United States, they used to there was a term called going postal. And going postal meant that people who came back from the war, they got jobs in the post office. You know what I mean about the post office, right? Because I know you're in the UK, so what will you guys call that place?
It's a post office. It's a post office. I mean,
I just try to make sure we're on the same page here.
Our post office is more like a shop these days. So a convenience shop has post office counters.
Trying to sell stuff in there. Yeah, I see that too.
In Desgamo, we had a real post office that was just a post office, right?
Right.
And then that puts the stuff in the post office, like you said. And then now it's more like the shops, our convenience shops, have post office counters. It's rather weird.
I'm in a small town, so we haven't gotten that big with that. But they do sell postcards and stationery and different kind of packages to put your stuff in to mail. But what happened in the United States when the men came back from the Vietnam War and World War II and all that, the jobs they got were the government jobs, and it was one of the famous jobs was the post office. but they would come back with this PTSD, and they would just like one day freak out and just come to work with a gun and shoot up the place. And then that transferred into people getting angry at work and go to work, or somebody got angry at his wife because he thought she was having an affair at work, and he'd go to work with a gun or go to work with something. I even worked for a company where somebody put bullets in the microwave oven and turned it on and walked away. The bullets were going off inside the microwave. It's like, what is, what the world, what is wrong with people? And so the reason I just bring this up is that going postal was a thing. It seems like now you don't see as much of that. And it could be that HR is defusing it a little sooner, or people are reporting it sooner, or maybe mental illness is weaned out of the workplace sooner. So somebody has an issue, somebody reports it, and then the company doesn't want to see that person go postal. So they're like, well, you can work from home, or they find a way to give them more time off. And then next thing you know, they out of the company, and their badge don't work. So they now can't come in and do any harm, So the only reason I'm mentioning this is that that is one of the issues that people deal with. And so when you have these behaviors, it's important that as a team, it may not be that somebody's picking on you, but if they're picking on someone else, at some point, your turn will come along.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. If somebody's the bully, he beats up on whomever he can get his hands on, and women are bullies too. Speaking of bullies, one of the topics that came up last week was that the Olympic runner Sha'Carri Richardson pushed her boyfriend in the airport. And I think it's important to talk about what is really seen as abuse and not abuse. Instead of making up these stories, oh, she abused him, but the things that are really seen as abuse in the workplace, or abuse of the votes. You vote for somebody, you vote them into office, and then they do wicked things, mean things, and that's abuse. And so, I think it's important when you talk about abuse that you give it some parameters, rather than throw everything into the same bucket and call it abuse. Any comments on that from anybody?
Yeah, so you got Michael and Mike in the studio now. So let's go and see what they think about your shares.
Michael and who's Mike?
The comments. 1 second, Mr. Calm. The comments are, well, let's say great comments. Yolanda, welcome. Have you found the keys, Yolanda? Have you found the keys? Anyway, so it doesn't like anything toxic, people or behaviors in the workplace. No surprise there, my friend. So the coach David is here as well. Welcome, coach. And who else is here? Lawrence asking a great question. Welcome, Lawrence. I'll get to Lawrence's point, and then of course, and I'll let Mike and Michael speak, and then I will answer the questions in the comments, my friends. Mr. Calm, the mic is yours, my friend. Speak louder as well, please. Oh no,
you can't hear me.
We can hear you, but only just. Maybe it's me with my low volume. Go for it.
All right. Elaine, is it Elaine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, excellent.
Dr. Elaine to you and me.
Okay.
You know how I make them all doctors, Mark.
As long as it applies to you too. I
make them all
appreciate
doctors.
that.
When they're good, I make them doctors. You know that, Michael, right? It's a Nigerian thing.
Oh.
Okay.
What is it? Honorary doctor? You know that in Ethiopia they're getting rid of that. So you can't be an honorary doctor anymore. You have to be a legitimate doctor. They don't want spats like us running the government.
Wow. I'm gonna apply to
Ethiopian
Uni very quickly to give me an honorary doctorate. I'll pay them for the for the privilege. I said that out loud. Oh, I didn't say that out loud, right? No one heard me. Go, Michael. The
Well,
mic is yours.
you see, what we have to put up with, Elaine.
I know, I know. So what is your feeling about abuse in the workplace? I know we talked about it last time. Now you've had a chance to look at the workbook and
It kind
see
of,
some of the strategies and the impacts. What do you think?
I think it's just something that occurs kind of like as if it's under the radar, but
Mhm.
it's also it's also individualistic. In other words, it does not apply to groups in common. What it's actually meant to do is target a particular person and take basically give them a horrible day or a horrible what do you call it experience.
So, Mike, I was
Simply
wondering,
because
do you believe men experience toxicity, or men just don't see it like that? They just like, let's go out for a beer, and then it's over.
Mm.
no, they experience it. It's a matter of to what degree and what level, because they can certainly ignore most of the stuff that is thrown at them. But that's because there is a difference between men and women and what they're attuned to.
Mhm.
Um, women are more attuned to women are more social are more social creatures. Men are not. They are more individualistic, more um, I want to be the sole person in charge of my own stuff kind of a thing, and I don't need anybody else to tell me what to do and not to do, and I'm gonna do my own thing.
Mhm.
Women are more like, let's do it together. Let's cooperate. Let's challenge each other, and
Okay.
that's the kind of environment women like to live in.
Yeah,
Um,
let's talk it out. Let's talk
let's
about it.
exactly. When you're a loner, you're always targeted by the group. So
That's a good point.
men are most likely going to be targeted, even if it's a woman, even if it's a women, it's women in a group, or even if it's men in a group. Um, the men are the one who are going to be targeted because they have a tendency to be loners, and they have a tendency to do their own thing. They have a tendency not to want to cooperate. They have a tendency, or to fit in with the group mentality, because they are quote and unquote high functioning people,
Mm.
and they could be autistic, they could be what do you call it, multidisciplinary or multi-diversity, or I don't know, all sorts of names that you can throw at them to indicate that they're just different
Mhm.
mentally, so to speak, not physically but mentally they're different.
Okay.
uh, so that's why I believe you're going to toxicity is not going to go away. It's going to remain, but just like you're putting it out there so that people can talk about it, it is something that can definitely be dialed down.
Right.
Um, and all the methods you've indicated, I'm pretty sure there are even methods that you have not indicated yet that are on the table. That because I can understand that you are quite a you think out of the box, so to speak. Uh, I'm very impressed by what you're capable of doing when you do that, and and you give me that impression as well. And that's simply because of the fact that not only have you got a brilliant mind, but you've also got a brilliant experience and also experience out of this world that is not necessarily the same as everybody else's experience. You've gone
Thank
through
you.
life in a manner in which not a lot of people have gone through, and you bring that on board when you actually um, give ideas, and that is the very sole reason that you're here, and that is the very sole reason you're participating in this program and conveying to us messages that you think we ought to know and should
Well,
know. So
thank you
I'm
so
really
much.
appreciative for you coming forward, and please, if there's anything you want to say on top of what I've said, please go ahead. I'm certainly looking forward to what do you call it, wrestling with your mind, so to speak.
Well, I really appreciate what you're saying, and your calmness is soothing. I think that's what's needed, Mike, and that's what's needed. Lawrence and Emmy is on a job when somebody talks with a calmness and strategically delivering each word. It diffuses the other person. It diffuses the other person, because many times when, if somebody's talking and their voice is getting louder and it's escalating and spits flying out of their mouth and they're slamming their hands on the table, it just gets worse and worse. And I think that our behavior, facial expression, body posture, even the stance that you take. One of the things that I do when I feel uh, someone's trying to intimidate me is that I go into a wider stance. That symbolizes to somebody someone's ready to fight. I'm getting ready. And many times even people don't know what they're feeling. They just know they feel like something don't feel right here. Something's getting ready to happen. I better back away from this situation. So you can send signals to people. I used to do workshops on nonverbal communications. It was awesome. Awesome, because there are so many things that you can do even during job interviews to convey, like, if you wanted someone to think that you're really brilliant, you wear glasses that are not even prescription glasses, but then you wear them and you keep pushing them to your nose or adjusting the glasses. That sort of thing, someone wouldn't know that you don't wear glasses as prescription, but seeing you fidget with your glasses, that's a signal that you are very smart, that you see yourself as smart. And others, when you see people fidgeting with their glasses, you think that they're smart. It's just certain behaviors trigger the other people looking at you and engaging with you. It triggers behaviors that, or signals to them what kind of person you are, or what kind of, how to engage with you. And so I appreciate the comments that you made. Yeah, I think that one of the things, if everyone listening to this and they listen to the recording from the last time, if they take away anything, if you take away anything from this presentation, is to know that nobody has the right to stop you from reaching your purpose. What is your purpose? Why are you here? And if some of you are answering, oh, I don't know my purpose, you need to find your purpose. Because when you find your purpose and you see the things that you are put on this earth to do, when someone gets in your way to stop you, that's when it's, the war. Do not let anybody interrupt you from meeting your purpose, because that might mean you have to stay here another 30 years or something. And some of you don't want to stay here another 30, 40 years after your time. You want to meet your purpose, do what you're supposed to do here, and then transition to what next God has for you. And thank you so much for those kind words. So I'm
You're
looking
welcome.
for, thank you so much. And you know what? It was important that he said that men experience it too, but they process it differently. That's amazing. Now, remember when President Obama, for those of you in the United States, when something happened, Louis Gates, who lives in Massachusetts, um, he was going home one night, and his neighbor called on him and said, called the police on him and said somebody's breaking into his house. Like, they were watching out for his house. Police came, and it became a big thing. Then President Obama invited Louis Gates and the police officer to come to the White House for a beer. How many times have you gotten in an argument with someone who says, hey, let's go have a pina colada? That's not how it goes. I have never had a disagreement with someone in the workplace and they said, hey, why don't we just squash this and go have a beer? No, what happens? It goes on, and the person's angry at you for a long time. You have issues where you don't want to be in the same meeting with the person. And I think as adults, we have to get past that. As a manager leading a team, there should be some ground rules of behaviors. I used to say when I ran meetings, hey, could you leave your stuff outside the door? There's a garbage can outside. Leave your baggage outside. And when you come in, let's come in engaged and ready to do some great work. And if you feel like picking up your baggage after you leave, but don't bring it into the meeting because we don't have the time for that. And many times people are bringing baggage from home, bringing baggage from what their mom did to them when they were a little kid. It happens. It happens that people are suffering from how they were treated by their husband, by their ex-husband. Now they have a new husband, but the new husband has to deal with a broken relationship because the spouse had a bad situation in the previous marriage. And so how do you get beyond that? You have to work through it. You have to get coaching from qualified coaches. You have to go to workshops. You have to be willing to work on it. You have to be willing to call out the elephant in the room. And it doesn't take a whole lot. You just have to say, hey, I see there's a problem here. I seriously doubt that somebody would say there's a problem when there is no problem and start making up things. That would be so embarrassing in the professional workplace to make up stories. And the whole team is like, no, that never happened. You're a liar. And now you look really bad. You're losing credibility with your team. They may even report you to HR. They may report you or do it when there's a 360-degree review. They'll write, yeah, there was a time when that manager lost it and we really don't feel safe around that manager. That could lead to someone's dismissal. You know, you're not a team player. You're not working out with the team. More than half the team feels intimidated by you. They want to replace you with someone else. Emmy, any comments that you care to share?
I will share in a second. Let's hear from Dr. Mike. Now I've realized that you're Dr. Mike because he's Dr. Mike, by the way.
Oh, he's a PhD. Nice.
Yes.
No, I don't. Elaine, great conversation. I wanted to clarify a few things and then make a couple comments. And I can't give more effusive praise than Mr. Colm. I apologize for that in advance. But so I spent around 40 years in corporate America. Much of that was in the financial space. And the only reason I mention that is I think that I don't know what it is about the financial space, but it seems like maybe it's almost by nature where power dynamics play and toxicity, lives. So of the 40 years that I have been in corporate America, there was one position that I spent about 10 years in, and that was still serving the financial industry, but my management treated us a lot better. Now, I mentioned there was a couple personalities like you're going to find, I think, anywhere that were toxic. And in fact, they eventually got moved out. And so that's kind of the job that I have the most fondest memories about because I was supported by management and didn't have, it was high stress because we were serving the financial industry, but we all kind of pulled together. And so I have very good memories of that position. But two other positions, again, still in the financial space. One was extremely toxic because I had a boss that still not 100% clear but he had some sort of affliction or whatever that was very almost terrifying to see. When he got upset, he would shake, like sometimes even a full body shake. And it was just completely disturbing to witness. And he also had kind of a personality that would speak ill of people. And typically I know that if you're speaking to me and you're speaking ill of another person, chances are you're also doing that about me to someone else. So it's kind of, as a manager, I always try to keep that in my mind. I think you had mentioned gossiping. So that's something that you do, you absolutely don't want to do to your reports or, people underneath you. So the other position was less toxic from the boss perspective, but more toxic from the overall environment perspective, because it was almost like, that there was always contention, particularly I'm in cyber, and there's always a little bit of tension between cyber and the IT staff, because we are trying to make sure everything's secure. The IT staff and the CIO is trying to get that technology out to serve the business. I want to serve the business too. I just want to make sure it's secure. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, so I'm wondering if sometimes we don't, or that we acquiesce to bullies. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately, with a mindset of instead of having a mindset of abundance, we have a mindset of scarcity, meaning that we're afraid that we might lose this position. So we're gonna take this abusive behavior from bullies. So that's just kind of my comments on that. And I think for me, I completely agree with what you were talking about, purpose. And there was a very wise man that once said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, which I completely agree with. I also think that we all want to be seen, heard, and valued. And I try to keep that in my mind. And there's Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand and then to be understood. So I think if you can use some of these ideas and just really think pretty hard about how you would want to be treated as a manager, that's something I've always attempted to do as a manager, and make sure that my staff was, in fact, I would give them my training dollars, meaning the ones that were supposed to go to me personally if they needed it. So I always tried to make sure that I was doing the best for my staff. But I'm sorry, but it's my experience in 40 years that wasn't necessarily true of my bosses, except for that one environment that I was in.
Awesome. So nice. And congratulations on your degree. Emmy says you have a PhD now. Is PhD?
No, that's it's the PhD of the School of Hard Knocks.
Awesome. That's still worth acknowledging. That's still worth it. For 40 years, you have a right to talk about it. And and what you're saying about those acquiescing to bullies, Pete, the mortgage, the costs for mortgages are so high, and rental properties, that if people lose their job, they're only one paycheck away from living in their cart, or maybe two paychecks if they have not been able to save properly. And so, people do give in to the bully because maybe if I just show him I like him, maybe if I give him my lunch money, maybe if I bring some cookies in or something. I think bullies only change when you show them that, hey, we're going to fight after school today. We're going to meet at the back of the building. I think when bullies realize you're going to go blow for blow, today's the day that they sort of realize, maybe I'll pick another person, or maybe I'll pick on you another day. I think bullies, unfortunately, they're, and I think that's what they teach kids in the school now, that bullies, they probably have it bad at home. But why should I take an ass whipping when because the bully has a bad his dad hit him at home? I mean, go to the home and remove the kid from the home, but don't allow the bully to beat up on innocent children and give them negative memories of being beat up and being afraid. And that starts really young. The kids get beat up in school, and then they go to a job, and then they meet somebody that's pretty much like Billy who beat me up. So they sort of try to use the skills that they used in grade school, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. My mom always said, don't, when people hit you, don't hit back. Well, she was talking to the wrong child, because I wanted to hit back all the time. Whereas my brother, she told him to take a hit. And some of you out there may be teaching your kids that if a kid hits you, don't hit back. Take it to the teacher or report it, or, try to use peaceful approaches. But sometimes those peaceful approaches set you up for the next hit and the next hit. And by that time, when you get angry, you're out of control, because now you've been hit so many times that you just are totally fed up. When maybe had you dealt with it when it first happened, it would have been, you hit me, I hit you back, or you did something to me, I did it back. Now we're even. Okay, now we can each go to our own corners and decide how we're going to handle this. But I believe when anger situations are not addressed early, and when the person inflicting the pain doesn't realize that you're going to address it and you're not letting it go, they think that, hey, I got away with it, and I live to tell about it and laugh about it, go home and have ice cream about it. I believe it's important that when something happens, you address it. We're adults, we address it. I'm so pleased to hear of your 40-year career, which was really positive. My mother worked on Wall Street for about 14 years. And where did I learn to take it on the cheek and wait for another day? It was from my mom. She's like, she came home from work crying every day. The very abusive on Wall Street to Black women back in the 60s and 70s, really abusive. And the women would tolerate it, because many of them were immigrants that come to this country, got their, got their GED, went to get their citizenship. And so they were documented, citizens, because they went through the test and went down to the town hall and got sworn in. And so they felt as though if they made any trouble, they could be sent back. They could be sent back to their home country. So they just sort of tolerate it. And so I think we're past that of tolerating being mistreated. And so, Emmy, I have a comment to make, and I just want to make sure it's okay with you if I make a comment related to African women.
Of course, it's your show, my friend. It's not. Yeah, you're the expert. It's your show.
Okay, so I was on a call with a couple of African women, and they were like, "We could never say that. When an African man is talking, we cannot interrupt him. And if he says something we don't like, we have to keep our mouth shut." And I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. And so I guess for you, being someone from a big family, and you being African, what do you have to say about women, African women feeling suppressed to communicate when an African man is speaking? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no, I haven't got any great thoughts or experience of that. I guess because I live in England, I don't tend to see. I can address your point earlier. Do men get abuse at work? Yes, of course they do. Do we feel? Of course we feel it. And maybe that's where the African thing comes in the most, where But
Mm.
there's this inferiority complex that Mr. Calm talks about all the time. Where I suppose it sounds like the same with the women, but I didn't know it was a thing with the women, especially if men are talking. But essentially, they said the black person is not going to respond too much in England. You put up and shut up, and you let it, you let it be, and you hope to ride the wave. You hope to ride the wave. There's no going for a drink afterwards, because you're not invited anyway. It is insidious toxicity. That's what I think. It's
So look at this, right? People that have a very high position, let's say something like someone like Shaquille O'Neal, I would almost bet because of his financial standing and because he's in a field where, I mean, he has had fights on the field, on the basketball court. But you wonder, it appears as though there's more good than there are negatives in some industries, right? There seems that there may be a little tit for tat here or there, but they definitely go out for the beer. I don't see the women having an issue and then they get together and go to Macy's or something, go shopping.
I suppose there's a cultural thing there. I can understand that could be a thing that the women really don't feel able to speak. But I wonder if let's say, is it in all situations where there's a man speaking, or is it in particular lead the people above them? If you know what, I think it matters which men are speaking, right? Whether those below, those above.
You mean if it's their manager's manager, they'd more likely keep their mouth shut
Yes,
to
if it's a
hold on
manager,
to the belt.
yeah. If they're looking up, then imagine they tend to keep quiet. Where if they're looking down, they might be a
Mhm.
different beast.
Would
Michael,
you?
Mr. Calm, and I'm sure he's got an idea on this because he's more African than me, to be fair. Mr.
How does
Calm,
one become more African? Oh my God!
no. Look, I'm not. I don't know, Elaine. I don't know how I was born English. I was born British, so I'm British.
Oh, okay. That's a
Even though
good point.
I grew up in Nigeria, I'm still British, and
That's
so
a good
I
point.
think like a white person.
Yeah, because my family's mixed with the Caribbean, and I see myself more Caribbean than African American because of the traditions and behaviors and food and stuff. Yeah, Mr. Calm, what you know? Ignore Emmy's comment about you being more African. What are your comments about speaking up when you see something wrong? Do you feel it's better to just tolerate it? And I don't know, the voodoo dolls. Are people using those anymore?
Mr. Calm, are you still there?
He's laughing. He's probably
What-
laughing.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm still
he's
here.
there.
This is how I feel about that question. You got to read the room, understand what's actually going on, and understand the probability. Understand who you're dealing with, because people react in different ways in different situations,
Mhm.
and you got to peg them in the right situation in order to confront their behaviors. Typically, it's a one-on-one is okay.
Mhm.
Sometimes, and after a one-on-one, and if still the reaction still goes on, you can also make a stronger emphasis, especially make it a point to the group as well, and have um, that group discussion about the behavior, um, and try and curtail it that way. If that
Mhm.
doesn't help, then you can obviously go ahead and communicate with HR to bring in outside perspective, but also perspective in a manner that uh, focuses on safety within the company and outside of the company. And bringing in HR implies that this is getting serious. And if they're not taking the situation seriously, then HR can take over from there and take the necessary steps to ensure what needs to be done in order to rectify the situation and to ensure that group cohesion remains consistent and also, what do you call it, the workplace is a place where they can get their work done, and they like coming in to get their work done without having any disturbance
Mhm.
by any individuals that are there and are causing issues, which which makes them uncomfortable coming to workplace and work. So that's the way I believe I would proceed if I was in your shoes, and and hopefully I don't have to go that far. I have probably just a couple steps and then we're done. And hopefully they rectify their behavior
Mhm.
and for the foreseeable future. If not, if they want to exit before anything gets worse, then let them go ahead and do that. It just basically maintains their authenticity, and they have identified it and they have shown it, and it's respectful, so to speak. If you can't work in a place that you feel is negating your authenticity, then exit. Look for something
Excellent.
else to do. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, but I think it's also important to understand that when something happens, that HR's role, we would love to, we've been coached and taught that HR is there for the employee, but they're not there for the employee. They are there to protect the interests of the company. And so, what I have seen in corporate America in the United States is that when there's an issue and someone says, I'm going to have my lawyer get in touch with you about this, I'm going to have my lawyer get in touch with HR, there's a lot of hush up. The person is moved to a better position. Um, the person gets some kind of payoff to keep it quiet. And then the issue goes away. But the thing is, by saying, I'm gonna get my big brother to come over here, you know, that's basically the attitude. It's not that you're gonna get your big brother to come in and beat up anybody, but if they know that you have options outside the company, that's when the more favorable results happen. That someone's like, wait a minute, she's willing to go the full yard instead of going to your manager and then he goes to his manager. And maybe the issue is between your manager and his manager. So then it gets stuck in there, HR. Then you're not performing well because now you're not doing well because you're angry at work. Then they write you up for not doing well, coming in late, stuff. It takes a cycle. It's not only the toxic behavior, it's not only the behavior that happens, but then your response to it, and you're not feeling well at work about it. And then you don't perform as well. Then it becomes, they document that. And then it just is almost like a ball of wax that starts getting bigger and stickier and messier. So finally, you're just like, I got to get out of here. I've got to leave the company. When it is that that company may have been the one place you wanted to work for your whole life and you wanted to retire and get the gold watch and the 25-year party and all that. I don't hear people talking about that. They're just glad to get out. They're not staying for the retirement parties and all of that anymore. Just like, enough. I've had it. And that shouldn't be. It should be that people at the end of their working cycle that they end and there's this congratulatory party where people celebrate and say good things about all the things you've done. People are so stressed out and worried about holding on to their job so they can pay off their mortgage, pay off their car, put their kid through medical school or whatever it is. And people are tied by we call those golden handcuffs. The things that you have to get done, so you're stuck with the job. You're handcuffed to the job because you need the job to do the good things you plan to do in life. And I think that people have to figure out how to break those chains, how to move on without being stuck.
Yes, and the funny thing, those things were called golden handshakes in the past, right? Yeah, they were.
Oh,
Now it's become golden handcuffs. I like that.
golden handshake, isn't that when somebody? No, I think
Yeah.
somebody should look that up. A golden handshake is when you make a deal with someone and it's supposed to be really good and you shake on it. Isn't that what a golden handshake
No,
is?
no. In my when I was younger, it
Uh,
was more. It was more the gold watch you got after 25 years, after 50
yeah,
years in the company. You know,
yeah.
the golden handshake, which is your gift, your parting gift, so to speak.
Oh man.
So it's funny how now it's a handcuff. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let's go through the comments because I think our time has come. Our time was gone.
Yes.
We're an hour in, so we do have to go. I know that for sure. I think Lawrence asked a good question earlier on, which is how do we spot a toxic boss?
How do you spot a toxic boss?
How do you identify a toxic boss at work?
Okay. Well, I, I think that there are verbal and nonverbal clues, right? One of the nonverbal clues that I think a lot of people get, you walk into the office, it's 5 minutes to 9. You're supposed to be there at 9, and somebody they look at you, look at the watch, and then they look back at you. When someone does that, don't you feel like, oh my God, am I late? Why would somebody be like watching you when you show up? Or they would say something like, you're like when my father died, and um the manager said, oh, this is such a bad time for you to take time off from work. I'm like, well, when is a good time for a black man to die? That was my comment. And he just looked at me like,
Mm, mm.
oh, he was like,
We're at war.
yeah,
I'm sure this is what he was thinking. You
yeah,
know,
he
this
was
is
like,
not going
yeah.
to go well.
And then one day I did ask him, I really wanted to talk with him. I wanted to work it out. And I said, could we go for a walk outside? And he was like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm like, I felt like his response told me he thought I was taking him outside to beat him up.
Mm.
And all I wanted to do was talk. I didn't want to. I said, could we just go for a walk? And he was like, oh, she's trying to get me outside the building, and then she's going to have people beat me up. That's not a bad idea. But no,
you,
that was
you have a bad reputation. That's what it sounds like.
no. I was actually
Uh,
being, yeah. Well, at that time, by that time, I was ready for the divorce from the job. I told him, I said, I want a divorce. It was almost as if I had smacked him in the head or something. He was like no one ever told him they wanted a divorce before. I'm like, well, good. You heard it from me. I want a divorce. So yeah, you can sense it. It's when someone says something to you and you say, "Hey, wait a minute. Did he say that? Did he say that about my wife? Did he say that about It's just a little something in the tone or something in the look or something, and then it happens again, or it happens in different ways. Um, you
mm,
sort of you feel it, you
mm.
sense it, and then you're like, whoa, wait a minute, but then you don't do anything about it, and then it starts to become more things and more aggressive, and it takes a life of its own.
Yeah, often
Well,
it's the things that are not
actually,
said as
it
Mr.
eats
Calm.
away. It eats away on your soul,
Mm,
because, and it's also a burden that you carry over and over again when you run into people that are just like you, who are in the company, and they might be going through the same stuff,
mm, mm.
and you actually witness it. It reminds you of what you went through. So you now start collecting all of these images and what do you call it? Activities within the company, and then the company itself becomes toxic. And now
I
you
agree.
have to say it's not the individual now; it's now the company-wide kind of like toxicity.
Yeah.
And it identifies it, and it makes you very miserable and uncomfortable. Now you're like, I don't even want to come into work at any particular part or location,
That's it.
even if there's
That's
a
it.
nice lady out there. I sh sh That's the only person I can get along with. All the others are, but you
Mm.
spend only a fraction of your time with that person. The rest of the time you're dealing with all the other people. Ah, it just gets worse and worse and worse from
Mm.
there. And that is why, just like you said, you wanted a divorce. And the thing that was surprising
That's when it's time
is
to
that,
leave.
yeah,
Lick the ring off.
and using that terminology, the man may have already been divorced from his wife or had several divorces already filed upon him by other people, not but also personally, and so you're probably reminding him of a personal something that happened, in his personal life, and then he's probably wondering how you knew,
Yes.
which is also
Yes.
another that
Yes.
takes him on another trip. So he's like,
Yeah.
man, you're bad juju for me.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Com, and everybody that's contributed today to the discussion. I know those of you who have not commented, you're probably commenting. You will be commenting afterwards. Um, this is only to give you hope that you don't have to sit and take poor treatment at work, and it doesn't happen to everybody. But it's important when you feel some kind of way about it that you address it with your
Mm.
manager. Address it. And if they say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," that's usually what I get. "Oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry." I'm like, okay, that's one.
Mm. Strike one until it happens again, right?
Well,
Which
didn't we have this conversation before?
mm.
Did I say something funny? Like I said, I'm going to get the big belt. So that was the, that was the big comment in my family. It's like if you did something wrong, Dad would be like, "I'm going to get the big belt." So I say that as a joke. It's really not a joke because it's a little bit of passive aggressive if
Mm.
you tell somebody you're bringing out the big belt, because mentally for most people, and you may say, "Oh, I don't know anything." Probably Mike doesn't know anything about the big belt, but most
You
ethnic
know,
ethnic families know
that,
about the big belt.
yeah, no, okay, Mike. Okay. Mike is a nicer person than all of us. Michael knows about the big belt.
He doesn't. He's white.
Michael does. Michael does. We were talking about it last night. Telling me it's the way to go. I'm like, no, it's not the way to go. It's no, it's
I
leave
don't
us
think
to
he
it.
does. I don't think he knows anything.
I'm sorry, Elaine. Annie calls me Michael, and he called the other
Yes,
guy Mike.
right.
Okay. Oh yeah, Michael knows about the big belt.
Yes,
You know what?
Mike is innocent, and Mike is a good man.
Yeah, Mike doesn't know, but some I used to make a joke about that, and one of my clients, she's Chinese, and I made the comment, and she started laughing, and I'm like, "Oh no, you too got the big belt from Dad." I really started to feel bad then, thinking that Chinese people get the big belt too. I'm
They
like,
do. It's
oh,
it's an immigrant thing, Elaine.
really?
Yes, Asians get it too. There's like no. This is our conversation last night. Look, let's move on. Let's move on. The comments are interesting.
Thank you.
Um,
So yeah,
Reason I didn't get the big belt was because I saw what my brothers and sisters went through, and I was smart enough to evade
yes,
that kind of
that's it.
clever
stuff.
man.
So I didn't get the big belt.
That makes perfect sense, Mike. Makes perfect sense, right? It really
Yeah,
does.
But I was of a generation where I can't remember if my dad. Well, okay, I thought I was being a smartass, and I had taken martial arts. And my dad was 5'6", and I think he was probably about 60 at the time. And so I'm getting up in his grill a little bit, thinking, I'm being a bit of a punk, and he pushed me so fast. He did a move that I've never seen him do before or since. And I was on my butt so fast that that was actually, I think that was the only time, as far as kind of like something semi-violent, and it would happen so fast, and the push was so fast. But he didn't brook any disrespect or any nonsense. So he was of a generation, yeah. He didn't use violence. He used more like attitude and like a sharp. Again, I wouldn't even say it was really abusive. He was just like, you knew exactly where you stood, and in my generation, you respected your elders whether they deserved it or not. That's just the way we grew up. So when dad or mom or grandpa or uncles and aunts or something, or even people that were outside the family, if they were if they were older and kind of had earned some respect, you respected them. That's just the way it was.
Excellent.
I understand that. So look, thank you so much, Mike. So I want to get through the comments. I like to get through them. Otherwise, I feel
Okay.
Our commenters. So I'll let you respond as quickly as you can. So Coach says toxicity is energy, and energy once created cannot be destroyed, but converted from one form to another. Therefore, toxic people breed toxic environments.
Interesting.
Probably true, right? Yeah. Thanks for amazing comment, Coach. So Eugene, welcome. I haven't worked with you until now. I'm glad you're here, my friend. So it says no company ever advertises itself as toxic, yet we will know toxic workplaces continue to thrive. In your experience, why do they persist, and what are the best signals candidates or employees can look for to spot them early? That's the conversation today, right? It is tips, strategies, what to look out for.
Yeah, look in the workbook. Look at the fixes and the strategies. You've got to address them, and you have to not be afraid to change your workplace. Look
at this. Look what I've done whilst you've been talking. I found a way to make the workbook visible.
Awesome. Also, don't forget that there's a place called the Landmark Forum. The Landmark Forum will help you to actually get to the root cause of why you tolerate those behaviors. Something in your past has made you stuck where you take it, and then help you to break free of that. The Landmark Forum. Look them up. They're worldwide. What was that? What was that comment you had?
Mike shared something about. You want to bring it back? Mike shared something about an abundant mindset. So if you want to expand on that, Mike, then that would be really handy. Right. Okay. Mike talked about HR.
Well, I think this is sort of dovetailing with what Elaine and others have already shared, is that if you have to believe in yourself, and to Elaine's point, you have to know what your purpose is. I actually wrote a song about clarity in that regard. It's actually clarity as it relates to not only job search, but once you land, to understand what your purpose is, what your role is, and not to give more than what that transaction requires. Meaning, I think in my career, I gave 200%. Now, it wasn't out of fear. It was I was just such a go-getter, and I had integrity, and I would pick up other people's jobs. And again, that's something I'm not going to do in the future. But if someone was not pulling their weight, I would jump in, because I was more interested in the mission. I wanted to make sure the mission. But we have to understand this. I mean, these dynamics are going on all the time, and a lot of this, and I'm not saying all of it, because some of this is coming down from the manager and whatnot. But I have to agree with Elaine and basically saying you have to stand up. And what's the worst they can do? They can fire you. And that really sucks. But I've been in job search for 2 years now. And so I understand what it means to be unemployed. and kind of be on a short financial runway. But I'm just saying, I think if you have this abundant mindset, if you believe that you have value and you can bring value, and it can be maybe start your own business, maybe find another income stream. Some folks know that I both write songs and write poetry. I'm looking to potentially monetize some of that. So I think there's a way, to survive toxicity, and to, I think it was Mr. Michael Calm's point. You have to stand up.
Yeah, I think
Because one of the things I think that we really haven't talked about is if you don't stand up, and this is often the case in abusive situations, is, and I'm not saying you own it because you couldn't do it, but I'm saying if you can, if you feel that you have the strength and the wherewithal to stand up, you are standing in the place of the people behind you that are also being abused or that could be abused. So I think that's something to remember. I'm not trying to guilt anyone if they haven't been able to do that, or if they can't, they don't feel they can. But I will encourage people to stand up for yourself, but in knowing that you're also standing up for other people.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I
Thank you
agree with you
so
on that
much.
one.
Emmy,
I agree with
I
you.
think we should go ahead.
Go on, please. No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that if it's possible, we can wrap up. I'm a little bit behind schedule for
Yeah.
another meeting, but
Right.
this has been so enriching. It really has been. Take a moment to look in the documents. I'm not sure what happened.
Yes.
What's going
Look,
on?
dear me, so I'm showing you what you put out, what's in the document. I think I want to focus on the right-hand side, fixed strategy, as you call it, right? Empower autonomy, measure outcomes, not steps, implement fair recognition. This is the thing the company can do, which I think sit beside what Mike is saying about standing up for yourself.
Okay.
The company can do better, but this is all in the workbook, my friends. If you haven't got the workbook from last week, then let me know. DM Elaine. We'll happily send you the workbook. That's all this information is in. So that's probably a good place to leave it, Elaine. I don't know. So I don't know whether next time we'll talk about the solutions.
People need to go through the workbook and come up with what solutions they see is working.
Indeed.
So everybody, nice to see everybody again. Wishing you a great rest of the week, a great ending to your summer. And I'm wishing the best for you as you move forward from toxicity to a very productive work environment. Thank you so much, Emmy, for your time and for allowing me to talk to your audience.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Safa, I do see you now. Boxing gym? Cool. That sounds scary. You sound like Elaine. The Kung Fu skills. I'll tell you what place you got them, right? My friends, enjoy. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Global.Media.com.